Sports, when you've got a great ball club. Sports, when you're leaving it all on the field. Sports, when you like your team's chances. Sports, to survive and advance in sports. For the teams you love and the teams you love to hate. Oh, it's Sports Channel 8. Yeah. Sports Channel 8. Hey. Hey. Hey.
It is Sports Channel 8, the radio show. All up in your earwaves. That's a throwback. All up on your streaming waves on a Monday morning. The Weather Moose, Hayes Permar, all up in you. We'll see if Ben Swain stops by. It is President's Day, so I know a lot of people are working, and we know Josh Goodson takes any advantage of a holiday, but he will still take your mortgage today. So hit him up. Movement Mortgage. We'll maybe even check in on what his score is by the time we get off the show. He makes it public because he thinks he's a good golfer. But check us out. We are sponsored by Movement Mortgage. Check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, right here, 10 o'clock, anytime. Get on Facebook or YouTube so that you can comment along. We got a lot to talk about this weekend, including frozen penises. But I want to start with this question for you, Weather Moose. You're an NC State fan. Where does this weekend in NC State sports rank up there with the best of them, including the men's basketball team, frustratingly hard to watch sometimes, didn't play a big part of the weekend?
Yeah, it's huge. The basketball team went undefeated. Let's clear that up. The baseball team got a sweep, and I think it's Tommy White, the freshman, had 5 home runs in 3 games.
They got
3 in his first.
They got a new superstar.
He is unreal. And then over to Reynolds, where the women's team took care of business, and I think they're outright champions of the regular season. So
I think they need to do one more thing. I think they clinched a tie, but they may need to do one more thing to be outright. I could be wrong on that. Somebody fact check me on that. We usually are.
No, you might. I think you might be right. I think there's still some stuff that has to happen. But they did clinch a share.
UNC did them a favor by taking out Louisville.
Right.
And, but so, yeah, they still got a little business left. But nah. And then, I don't know if you saw this, but like, I won't claim to know anything about wrestling or be a wrestling guy, except for I know State's been good at it the past couple of years. And anytime an event is packed out, it's just cool as hell. And that's I was seeing clips of that from Reynolds. So it really was. It raises the question again, like, I don't know that. Well, I don't want to go down the crazy hypothetical paths where we should, drop UNC football and drop NC State basketball and just have one of those sports each school. But it is a reminder of 2 things. One, that NC State fans are consistently more across-the-board fans than almost any school, certainly any school we have around here. But, any school at the high level, I don't know anybody. I know that SEC teams have their baseball team too, or like somebody might have some random UCLA has their gymnastics. When you talk about all these sports that NC State fans come out and support, it's pretty impressive. And it was on display again this weekend.
Yeah, and not only did the wrestling team win, they beat Virginia Tech, who is a very good program. Well, they absolutely destroyed them. It's 21-10, which I think, and like you, I'm a wrestling idiot, but I think that's sort of like a blowout in wrestling. I mean, that's huge.
That would be a good question. What constitutes a blowout in every sport? Like, we know what it is in basketball, baseball, football. We all have like a pretty, at least of those sports, I have a pretty good idea. Like tennis, even tennis, you can get swept in sets, but if you lose 7-5, 7-5, 7-5, you didn't get blown out, right?
Yeah,
I do not know what a wrestling blowout is. We'd have to ask.
I was kind of tracking not the results, but I knew State was up 12-0 at one point, which I thought, well, that's pretty significant. But so they clinched the ACC championship there for that. So they got the title for wrestling in Reynolds. So a lot of hardware handed out in Reynolds yesterday. Yep. And then the swimming and diving team won a conference championship again. They've got like 30-something. Those folks are ridiculous.
And I think even the women's ice hockey team, did they win an ACC title? I think I saw something about that too.
If there was something to be won this weekend, NC State won it. That's the bottom line of all this. Very good weekend.
So two things. One is sort of, well, I don't know. It's almost like it is amazing how much success NC State athletics is having right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's the duality of like, one, why can't if everybody else can, why can't men's basketball?
Mm-hmm.
But then also like, how frustrated as a fan can you be at men's basketball if you're enjoying riches in not only non-revenues, we accept as sports fans that the sports that are on TV the most count more, right? I don't know what else to say. You know, like that's just how the hierarchy of sports are, like in fandom, right? It's kind of a universal theme. Even state fans like going to football games and send more people to football games than they do to all these other sports, right? But like, are you allowed to really be mad? Are you, as a state fan, can you claim that the world stinks right now if you have like a good football team, good at everything else, including baseball, which is one of the sports that you like to be good at? By the way, the only thing, what was the kid's name hitting all the homers? Tommy
White.
Tommy White. That's a great, baseball-y name, right? When I saw him playing so well as a freshman at State, the only thing that surprised me was that he did not go to the G League already.
Now he's locked in for 3 years because of the pro rule. Like, hey, it's a big win.
No, but that dude looks like he's built to crank homers, and I'm taking the over on him hitting more than another 5 this season. I know that's ambitious of me, but I think he's going over 10.
Yeah, and I think I saw a tweet from Duke Baseball's one of their headline players. Something like first one of the year for so-and-so, and I was like, Tommy White already got 5.
Seriously.
It's just like old news. But no, so to your question, like, is this sort of an embarrassment of riches, and are you allowed to be mad because the men's basketball team is kind of crappy? I don't think so. I think taking on the whole, you should be very excited. The one person who's pretty mad about how NC State athletics is doing is probably John Feinstein, because he hates Debbie Yao. This place is running like a well-oiled machine, with the exception of men's basketball. But the football program being good really, really helps out because it's one of the more visible programs. Yeah. So if you're I don't know. Men's basketball, they've not been – guys, it's going on, 30-something years now? It's been kind of had a few good years under Herb, had a couple of
goodness, but nothing, no regional finals or Final Four certainly, or ACC titles, which
I think a lot of the consternation amongst the fans is that with Roy leaving and Kay retiring, sort of the twin towers that are right beside you they're not going away, clearly. I mean, Hubert's doing okay. And I think Shire will be fine. I think the recruiting class is stupid. Kay's still going to be involved over there. So, but I get where they're coming from. Like, we need some momentum as those two sort of maybe hit a speed bump. But I don't know.
Are state fans allowed to be mad? That's the question we're asking now. Mm-hmm. They're good at again, and it's sports that they care about. Football, baseball, women's basketball. The 4 big state sports are certainly football, the 2 basketball teams, and baseball, right? And then if you want to say, well, no, actually wrestling, all right, well, they're good too. I mean, like you said, swimming, running,
cross country, all those things are good.
All these sports, I think tennis is even on the come up a little bit.
Yeah.
So a softball, they may not be great at.
Don't worry about softball.
Around here, I don't know if anybody is. So. But since so much of state fans, general persona is the persecuted loser or whatever, this is an interesting time. So congrats to both current athletic director Boo Corrigan and Debbie Yao, who we know put a lot of those folks in place. All right, but we do have to talk hoops this weekend, because it was a big weekend for the other North Carolina teams that wanted to play basketball because they needed wins. NC State, sometimes it's better just not to have one. UNC got a huge, for now, quad 1 win at Virginia Tech. And they were like really good in one.
Is that really a quad 1 win? Really?
Yeah.
Virginia Tech kind of stinks. Like, how are they Q1?
Either for a while, it was looking like they might come out of the weekend with 2, with Michigan and Virginia Tech. But I'm almost positive that Virginia Tech, being on the road is so huge. You know what I mean? Like Pitt. Losing to Pitt at home is a quad 4 loss, but if you win at Pitt, it might be all the way up to quad 2. You know what I mean?
Yeah, net rankings are a scam. Let's just put it that way.
But UNC, huge win for them. Wake, huge win over Notre Dame. Both of those for tournament resumes. I don't think either of them solid, but like those, not. I don't like doing the game by game, analysis. But when you looked at potential games that either of those teams had to get good NCAA tournament wins for Wake, it's still a weird you haven't really beat anybody great. I think this may have been the first win over a team that's almost certainly going to make the NCAA tournament, right? So regardless of what quad you're saying, taking care of business is one thing, but beating better teams, which has also been UNC's problem. Again, now if they may stumble into 2 quad 1 wins, depending on what Michigan and Virginia Tech end up doing, or they could have 0. The good thing that UNC has going for them that Wake doesn't is a strength of schedule. I mean, Wake was probably, let's be honest, is what you should do, what Duke football did when they're trying to get off the mat, what Keats was trying to do when he's trying to get basketball off the mat, just get some wins, right? Try and make 20, 25 wins look good. Win your easy out of conference, steal some wins in conference. But now it comes back to bite you. Wake, not a great schedule. And as much as Forbes could turn over the roster, you can't just create games against other, top teams, right? You're basically filling out your roster. Sometimes it's nice, though, if you can fill it out with teams in like the 150 to 200 range or the 250, like play Richmond, don't play, I don't know, Alcorn State or something. It's just,
what was big for Wake, I think, in this particular game, I know you say you didn't want to go game by game, but they were in real trouble right before halftime in that game. I think Notre Dame had reeled off 2 12-0 runs on them. So I don't know. I think that's more impressive to have come back from that, where I don't know the win probability chart, but I'm pretty sure it was fairly high for Notre Dame to have won that game towards halftime, and for Wake to come back and win it is. I've not really been that. I've been impressed with parts of Wake. Alondis Williams, the Laravia, they've been very solid for them, but I hadn't really been impressed with Wake as a team until. That's a big moment. Carolina's kind of stinky, so I wasn't really that impressed with that win earlier this year. But, to come back from that, even though it was at home, I'll give them that. But that was kind of where I was like, okay, maybe they might have locked something up there because you were still kind of wondering. But,
And then UNC was basically the Jekyll and Hyde UNC we've seen inside the same game for like the last 10 minutes of the first half. They were good UNC. They rained threes, like everybody was hitting them from different places. They were, defending, and they went from like down 6 to up 10 or whatever. And then the second half, they were not great, but Virginia Tech was kind of not great either. Virginia Tech couldn't hit anything. And it was a good night for them. We got Moose will be ready on the Baycott flop watch there, thanks to Beta.
Absolutely.
But yeah, another big game. Even though Louisville isn't great, it feels like a game that. More like a sigh of relief for UNC if they get a win versus Louisville, and then as opposed to like grips of panic if you lose to Louisville and you start, trying to look at your resume more.
Right.
So, and then NC State didn't play. But the big talk of college hoops this weekend happened to be outside the ACC, and this was just yesterday, wasn't it?
Yes, yesterday. It blew up big time yesterday in Madison, Wisconsin, of all places.
Yeah.
I can't imagine you'd be that angry in Madison, Wisconsin.
And I'm trying to bring up the video here, but all right. We had a coach throwing what first looked like a punch, but then
Howard and Guard are not happy right now as the two of them continue to have words. We told you Juwan Howard was not happy about that timeout. And Juwan Howard just threw a
boom. So there you saw that. And here's it in slow-mo. And this is the thing that I don't know what's going to happen to Juwan Howard, but I think it makes a difference that he threw an open-handed
slap
or face mush or whatever you want to call it, 5 fingers set to the face, as opposed to a straight-up punch. Because he can honestly make the case that either he's trying to grab the guy or whatever, as opposed to if you come in like this, I think it's a whole different.
Another look at Howard. Right there. He's grabbing. Yeah, he's got a problem.
But
I just think that's a big difference.
Yeah, and if you go back to the beginning of that clip, I mean, even farther back, the handshake line, Juwan Howard didn't even join that thing until it was halfway done. Clearly pissed off because his team got their asses kicked. But I think at some point, Wisconsin called a timeout at the end of this game. They were up big and they put their reserves in, right? And and then Michigan was still pressing these dudes. So they like, let's press these reserve players, get some turnovers, close the gap a little bit. So guard calls timeout. Howard gets pissed about it because I guess you're not allowed to call timeouts up big like that. And in the handshake line, if you look at it, Howard is clearly not interested in talking to this dude whatsoever.
I'm guessing he probably even says something to him as he's blowing by him, and it causes guard to stop. And then, go ahead.
Well, then and guard like grabs his right arm and like has a hand on his chest, like trying to talk to him, I guess. And no, you absolutely can't do that.
Well, so here's the thing: if putting your hands on somebody else was like total justification, putting your hands on somebody else the way the guard did was justification, then like Roy Williams could have been attacked after every incident because he loved to do the like coaches do that sometimes.
Like Coach K does the chest pat.
Yeah, exactly. Like so I thought everybody's guard probably knew whether or not he's calling timeout to be a dick. He knew that he had the justification of what he said it was, right? And Howard, whether or not he believes that guard's touch was menacing or not, can say, once the guy touches me, then it's on. We're like, I didn't think that was necessary. I thought that was guard being like, whoa, I didn't know you. Like, hold on, let me explain myself. So
I think it was like very much a type A versus type A scenario where Howard is clearly not interested in talking to this dude whatsoever after the game, and guard is clearly trying to figure out, what the hell is going on. Very much a little man syndrome going on with that dude. Like, no, you're going to hear me. And like you said, Howard definitely said something to him. Like, I think I think somebody reported that as Howard's walking to guard or something, he's like, I'll remember that shit is what he said.
Yes.
You can't see it because he's got his Michigan mask on. But, clearly, I don't know. I feel like guard has to read the room there a little bit and say, all right, this dude is clearly – but at the same time, if you go back to the video, there are a swarm of Michigan dudes between or like right beside Howard and guard, like trying to de-escalate. There is nobody from Wisconsin initially trying to pull guard back, right? Yeah. Like, so Howard's here. Okay, there's strength coach guy. And then, there's some coaches. I got you. But like, see the Michigan players are there trying to – but then I don't know. It's just – I think at this point it's already like boiling.
That's one thing, and this is going to come up again when we watch our final video, which is, actually the best video, is how much This is a good point. This is a good point. You have to earn the chest pat. You don't have the right to chest pat. That's true. That's true. Greg Gard, like Roy Williams and Coach K can do the like, hey. Yeah. For Roy, it was always the when his scrubs were firing up threes when they were up 40. He'd be like, hey, we got this thing with biscuits. I'm sorry. Our crowd likes it. Like, you could tell he was always like trying to be like, I'm sorry. We were trying to run it up on you, but he's put his hands on, And K, just a good old chest pat. Guard does not have the clout to be laying hands on people. Great.
We need to bring back the old Gottfried ass slap. Bow, like he did on K at the.
I mean, that's a little bit what it felt like. It was like what his assistants had said to him, like, "Hey, if you win, you lose, Coach K's gonna chest pat you." He's like, "Oh, I got something for Coach K." He looked like he had thought about it. Do you think Howard? I was reading like the details. Apparently, the league only has the authority to suspend him for like 2 games. Mm-hmm. If it went above that, it's got to go to some committee. But I'm not sure it won't go to that. I mean, I personally don't think he has to be fired for that. He does have another incident that resulted in, I think, a suspension where he got into a post game with somebody else. The curious thing to me is also, I'm like, would Howard do this if he was coaching an NBA team? Because that type of thing, and partly I don't think they have handshake lines. Like if dudes want to say what's up to each other, they find each other and dap up, right? But but also just, I don't know. It's like a different vibe. It's like, it's certainly regular season games. It's like, it's just 1 of 82. Just keep it moving. Right.
Right.
So,
I don't know. I'm worried from him. If here's the bad part about this. If Michigan hoops were better, then he definitely does not get fired. They kind of suck.
Right. 100%.
So there's certainly, like, I'm sure the board of trustees at Michigan is like, we were looking for a way out to get out from underneath this.
Now, there's that.
Here's our way. I'm with you in the sense, like, I don't think an overhand smash grab thing is fireable.
Yeah, and it's on another adult. On a player, it'd be totally different. You're gone if it's on a player.
And he's got a little bit of that, guard. Like I said, guard gave him a little bit of cover with the grabbing. Like, there's clearly Howard should not have done this. But at the same time, guard is not completely without fault here. So I don't know. I think there's going to be certainly longer than 2 games. I think at a minimum, you'll probably – I don't know how many games are left in the Big Ten tournament.
I think you could suspend him for the rest of the season, and that'd be cool by me. All right, but there was one more piece of video that we must take a look at.
Yes.
Here we go.
Yeah.
And again, continuing with the theme of the players being more, I mean, the players are adults. They should, act like they're college players, but them acting more grown up than the paid employees. Like, this dude's giving the suck it. And 33 is like, no, man.
Bye-bye.
Nah, man.
Bye-bye.
33 is like embarrassed. He's like, dude, stop.
Like, nobody's done the crotch chop since the early 2000s. Go away.
And by the way, that dude definitely, if he's not the strength coach, he's part of the he's part of like the training team. He's part of the strength team. Like, he is not a doctor. He's not. He's not there working on your broken ankle.
He's not drawing up plays on the clipboard.
But no, he's definitely not that. Nope. But just the bye. But yeah, fuck it. Amazing. Just straight 90s with the suck it. Interesting.
That's incredible.
All right. Sorry, I'm trying to get that out of there. What else do we have on the dock today? All right. The only other 2 things I had were, when's the last time you went to Charleston?
Charleston? Oh, man, it's been years since I've been to Charleston. So we did you do anything fun? I know you were there for a funeral. So
I was there for a funeral. We hung out with some folks that were all there for the funeral, and that in itself was seeing friends. It's more my wife's friends, but I knew some people, and they're cool people, whatever. But and there was also a wildlife exposition going on down there.
I've been down there for that. You mentioned on the show when you jumped on, you were at the Southeast Wildlife Expo or something.
And actually, it was pretty cool. There's I'm sure there was like private balls and galas related to it that I'd never been able to see, but a lot of this was like out in the open on the streets, some vendor stuff, some birds of prey display going on, dogs.
Yeah, I bet you couldn't get a restaurant either.
We weren't too worried about that, but without going into too deep on it, I came up with this summary of Charleston, and that is, it seems like, locked in time. There's a lot of history in Charleston, right? Like, and that's kind of cool, and the buildings are old or whatever. But like, the fact that it cherishes and holds on to its history is both dually its charm and it's like wickedness, because you kind of feel a little seedy at times around Trump. There's
BG. I think you had just hopped off the call, or maybe you were on it. You couldn't hear it when said they're like trapped in the antebellum sort of period. And it's weird how, like he said, this is the way he said. He's like, you leave Charleston, you feel like you have like the sliminess about it that's attached to you.
It kind of feels like being in a museum, and that part of it's cool, like seeing cool stuff and seeing, and just whatever. Even like the College of Charleston, their gym is like tucked in this like cool little part of town. And if they weren't like throwing out there that it's a basketball arena, you'd see some of it's more modern or new, but like it kind of fits in, and it does. I guess I need to go back and read Lords of Discipline, because I think Conroy sort of talks about that. He loves the city, but also like it's just kind of weird, and, and it just feels like class system still very much in place there. Certainly,
Mhm.
like racial aspects of that as well, but
Definitely.
class beyond race. So I'm not. I did not come here to say I hate Charleston. It's despicable. It's really cool, and I enjoyed
Yeah.
my time there. Right, but it has this dual. The history. It's
Yeah.
Lockett
And there's
history is dually charming and a little bit like feels wicked. So I don't know.
Yeah, there's I think they do a street market that kind of runs through the center of town that you
Yep.
can clearly feel like what this was used
Oh yeah.
for way back when.
So
So,
that's an interesting thing to me for history as well, where I'm not that opposed to. Yeah, I don't think we have to demolish all those structures, but like let's do properly label them. And I think I'm sure Charleston has improved at that. I did that deep dive. Whatever, I'm sure there'd be people who are working on that very thing could show you where that progress is made. But like I remember going to the African American History Museum in D.C., one of the greatest museum. I mean, it's just an amazing experience. If a museum is supposed to make you think and feel, then that was one of the best experiences I've ever had. I'm not just trying to say that because it's the right thing to say. It is cool. And one of the things that's cool about it is, in one of the areas, they've got a statue of Thomas Jefferson, and they just give you the facts about Thomas Jefferson and his relation to the slave trade and owning slaves and stuff. And it's like, whatever, without getting into the deep, do we have to tear everything down? Like, if we had to do that, we might have to rebuild everything in Charleston. So I don't. Statues to Confederate generals are one thing. I'm not talking about that. Like we can get rid of those. But like, if a building or a house or whatever has served evil purposes, but it's architecturally significant and it's got history. Like I don't think that means we have to tear everything down. Let's properly label it. Let's talk about all the history of it. So.
The word you're looking for is context.
Yes. And also, as with all these things, I'm much more curious about the opinion of the people in the populations who are more adversely affected by those things than my own. So I'd be open to someone else saying, no, you're totally wrong on that. But that's sort of how I felt come away with it. And then let's end on a high note, sort of joint question. Which would you be okay with never seeing again? All-star games in any of our major professional sports, because they're all just bad. And I'm okay. I mean, the dunk contest itself was bad, but every now and then the dunk contest can be cool, or the three-point contest can be cool. But the NHL All-Star Game, I don't watch it. Pro Bowl, totally unwatchable. NBA All-Star Game, even if it becomes a dunk contest or Steph Curry shooting half-court threes, it's unwatchable. So which could you go more easily with never watching at all? An All-Star Game or a Winter Olympics?
Ooh, I could very easily go without ever seeing an All-Star game again. There are aspects of the Olympics, and I know what you're leading into, that I think are truly hilarious to watch. We talked about it already earlier in another show. The luging is hilarious from the aspect of half the time they're crashing. I'm a big fan of the ski jumps. Like I think that stuff's pretty cool. To watch. So there are aspects of
fan here. Look at
coming
out of the closet as a Winter Olympics stan.
I watched the free ski half pipe. I think it is Eileen Gu, who is a American Chinese citizen. That is the biggest pile of bullshit ever. Very American. Should have been on the USA team. We should have had gold. But if you watch that event, it is the most laughable thing. They just go down the pipe and little high jump, come down the pipe. It's just anyway.
I know what you're talking about.
But give me Winter Olympics, even though they kind of stink, versus any All-Star game, because I just can't watch it. The MLB All-Star game stinks. The NHL All-Star game stinks. The Pro Bowl's a joke, and the NBA All-Star game is trash. So I just don't care about any of them.
I totally agree with you. And even though I've made I'll repeat myself once again, sports where you can't see, races where you can't see them next to each other, and sports that are decided 100% by judges, to me, are less fun than races next to each other, which Winter Olympics has some of, and sports that are decided without 100% judges. I know refs do matter, but not 100% judges. So like hockey, whatever, curling, stuff like that, where, it's head to head. Those are the cooler sports. But the other thing about it is I have the hardest time getting into anything exhibition sports, right? And that's basically what All-Star is now, including, it's like a big deal when like Liverpool and Man U come to, rally to play or whatever. Like, I just can't get into it because there aren't stakes, right? And ultimately, the Winter Olympics have the highest of stakes for the people competing. Even when you don't care about them, you can see that these people care, deeply, and they know this their one opportunity. We see that whether they win or lose or whatever happens. So at least the stakes aspect of the Winter Olympics make them way more watchable than any All-Star game. Some of the All-Star games used to feel a little bit competitive, but now it is just.
Yeah, I think the MLB tried to make it worth something when they did the World Series home.
Those random All-Star games where Allen Iverson or Kobe or whoever decided no, we're going to try. Those are fun, but we haven't seen that in a while. And now they've made them all so gimmicky too. Like it's not even East versus West, just like the NHL
draft
All-Star
teams.
Yeah, NHL All-Star. I feel like sometimes it's North America versus the world, and sometimes I can't even keep up with what it is. So I should ask you. I know if Goodson were here, he'd have a Daytona 500 report for me. Did you even watch the Daytona 500?
I didn't watch a single minute of the Daytona 500.
I did see Bubba Wallace came in second, but I have no idea how close it was. Drop in the comment if you want to give us a Daytona 500 report. Drop it in the comments right now, and you can be our Daytona 500 correspondent. Since Goodson isn't here, Goodson's still kind of a legit racing fan. He can probably name more racers than most of us. But the final news report that we wanted to cover today does come from the Winter Olympics. Let's see if I can share the headline here. Or do you have it shareable? Hold on.
I don't, but that's what my tape is referring to.
Yes. Oh, I should have had this set up better. Sorry. All right, here it is. Cross-country skiing, Finn Remy suffers frozen penis in mass start race. There it is. Frozen penis. Now, that obviously headline is eye-catching, right? But the real heart and great lead here to the start of things in paragraph 1. The men's 50-kilometer mass start race at the Beijing Games was shortened to 30 kilometers, but that did little to help Finland's Remy Lindholm, who needed a heat pack at the end of the race to thaw out a particularly sensitive body part. But here's the thing. It gets interesting down in paragraphs 2, where we find out Lindholm spent just under an hour and 16 minutes traversing the course in howling, freezing winds, leading to his penis becoming frozen for the second time in a cross-country skiing race following a similar incident in Ruka. Also, shout out to who we giving free Infinity. Shout out to Infinity, whose ad is running on the page.
Oh, yeah.
All right, left-hand turns were made. That is the Daytona 500 report from my man Andrew Huggins. Good stuff. But so this guy was skiing in a cross-country race last year, and he got a frozen penis.
Yeah.
And that wasn't enough for him to decide, maybe this isn't the sport for me. As I have always said, Moose, freeze my penis once, shame on you. Freeze my penis twice, shame on me. That's the threshold. If I love the game of basketball. I played last night. I ached today. I hurt. I might play again tonight. I'm old. The next game I finish, sometimes I play outside. There's an outdoor game that happens right near my court. The next game of basketball that I finish with a frozen penis is the last game of basketball I ever play, indoors or out. That's it. The sport's done for me once the frozen penis comes in.
Yeah, this is and it was only, like you said, last year, but it was only like 4 months ago that this happened, right?
Yeah.
And, okay, like you said, freeze it once, okay, I might have to find something else to do. But if I'm committed to this, I have got to figure out some other way to protect this thing from the temperatures, man. I just don't.
Feels like there's a market there. I think people will pay a lot to have that never happen. I do have maybe this is a more.
Well, hold on. Is this a humble brag? Does anybody else in cross country skiing have this problem?
Are
You
you
see what I'm getting
saying
at?
like yes?
Yeah.
So like, much like your fingers and toes, because of their distance from your heart,
Yeah, like maybe.
things freeze. This is a flex.
Yeah.
This
So
is a
maybe it's
flex.
like, you talk to your publicist after the race. She's like, "Oh man, my dick's frozen again," and you're like, "Do we want to go out with this, or do we have to tell anybody?" He's like, "Yes, put it on the news."
Of his penis is further away from his body than the rest of the racers. I think you have stumbled onto something.
Yep.
I think my man Remy, what's his name again? I gotta get back over here.
I'm not even sure of that.
Remy Lindholm.
Yeah.
Lindholm, excuse me, I should know that one. Remy Lindholm. He is flexing on people by announcing that his penis is longer than theirs, thus making it more prone to freezing. I think that's a fantastic theory.
Yeah, and there was a quote in one of the pieces that I read that said he was worried about his aspirations for having children in the future. So I wonder, like, how bad was this?
Yeah. So, and I also wonder, maybe I'm wondering too much about it. Like, what kinds? Like, does a doctor have to? You know how like you work as an official weather person for ACC football team. We'll leave it anonymous, although sometimes we talked about it, because like you were the one who declares this game is being canceled because of that lightning in the area, right? And like there's reasons why that matters, right?
Right.
So is there if this guy's going to collect insurance on this, is there a doctor that has to declare it frozen? And how exactly do you distinguish a frozen penis from a very cold penis? Like what makes it frozen?
Yeah, I don't know. Or I guess, what conditions qualify you to stop something because fear of frozen penises? Like what?
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. Like hey, somebody had to have looked at this thing and say, yep, that is a frozen penis. Have you seen the videos of people that get, there's like a condition where their fingers will they'll get really cold.
Sure.
So like they're yellow up here and then still pink down here.
You're the type of person that would hear about this and then actually go Google the pictures and look at it. And I'm the type of person.
I'm not Googling frozen penis. Absolutely.
No, I didn't mean frozen penis, but I don't like looking at ailments. So if I've heard of these things, they were like, here's a picture. I probably didn't look at it. So.
Well, here's this as well. If you can see this, old saying.
See, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee. That says, "Fool me once, shame on you. You fool me, we can't get fooled again."
That's how it should be with frozen penises. Don't get fooled again. I assume he will be retiring from the sport after the 30K. But I had not considered and still love your theory that he just straight up has a longer distance between his heart and the tip of his penis than the average skater. And for that, that's worth more than a medal right there. So.
Yeah.
All right, Moose, anything else you want to cover?
I got nothing else today.
We talked Charleston history. We talked frozen penises. We talked quad one wins. And we even talked NC State wrestling. We hit it all today. Check us out every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And, of course, the podcast will drop right after this. You can find it at Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get it. And make sure you hit up Goodson. You bring up his 18 birdie score. We'll tell him what Goodson's doing on the way.
Yeah. So he is playing – he's playing Pine Hollow, as one does. And many people are saying that is a tougher test than Pinehurst.
Ooh, he is 13 over through 8. He's got a 45 going. He's going to try and break 50 on the front here. We'll see if he gets it done. And Jim Stone's 1 to 10 last night. How was it?
6 or 7. So did you watch it?
No, I'm still going to watch it. I already the secret's blown on the cameo that Swain had already ruined because he reads Reddit sites and he knows what things are coming. So it was a great cameo. Maybe
I liked who they picked for the cameo, but the actual, how things played out with that scene.
It's Macaulay Culkin. Sorry, spoiler.
Yeah, spoiler. I was kind of underwhelmed with the whole thing. I was really disappointed. about how they introduced him in the whole. I don't know. It just, but it was next week's the season finale, perm. So this was a stepping stone to that. So it was it was all right. So
dang, last one next week. Then we got to go wild without gemstones.
Yep.
UNC Louisville tonight. Canes back in action tonight. I think is this the makeup game against Philly that they canceled on us?
Yes.
Just
I think
just a little bit of a sneak preview, not sneak preview, but a teaser. Sports Channel 8, we may be dropping a Canes related song here soon. We'll see. So keep it tuned to Sports Channel 8. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Sometimes we attend to all those things, other times not. Be back here Wednesday, 10 a.m. Check out the podcast. Subscribe on YouTube. Mass subscribe right now. Subscribe to the podcast for the Weather Moose and his unfrozen penis. Sports Channel 8, we out.
Sports, when you've got a great ball club. Sports, when you're leaving it all on the field. Sports, when you like